Good morning, boys and girls. This week in reading and last week, we've been looking at research. Research is when we have something that we are really interested in and we want to learn more about that topic. In order to learn more about that topic, we read lots of nonfiction books. Nonfiction books are books that are written to inform and to teach us things. In writing these 2 weeks, we've been taking a look at pronouns. Pronouns are words that take the place of a noun. On the back of this card, I've made a list of nouns that we're going to use in sentences, and I want you to try to help me to replace these nouns with pronouns in my sentence. So my first sentence is, Sally ate ice cream. Sally is my noun, and I would like to replace Sally with a pronoun. So if I were to take the noun Sally out of my sentence and I were to replace it with she, my sentence would now read, she ate ice cream. Does that still make sense? It sure does. All I did was I took the noun Sally and replaced it with the pronoun she. So now my sentence says, she ate ice cream. Let's take a look at this one. The dog chewed on the toy. The noun that my sentence is about is the dog. And if I were to take the dog out of my sentence and replace it with he, my sentence would now say he chewed on the toy. Does my sentence still make sense? It sure does. The only thing I did was I took out the noun, the dog, and I replaced it with the pronoun he. My next sentence says, first grade is reading nonfiction books. I want to take out the noun first grade and I want to replace it with the pronoun they. So if I took out the noun first grade and I said they, I could say they are reading nonfiction books. So all I did was I took out that noun first grade and I replaced it with the pronoun they. They are reading nonfiction books. My last sentence is, Andrew got a new bike. Now, my sentence here is about the noun Andrew, and I want to replace Andrew with a pronoun. What pronoun could I use? You're right. I could say he got a new bike. So all I did was I took out that noun Andrew and replaced it with the pronoun he. He got a new bike. So pronouns. Pronouns are words that take the place of a noun. I want for you to be looking for those pronouns in your books. Look for them and see if you can find as many pronouns as you can in the books that you are reading. Now, this week in reading with our research, we have been focusing on one animal. I told you at the beginning of the week to pick one animal you want to learn more about, and every day you were to be reading a book about that animal. The animal that I chose was horses. So I read this book with you earlier this week, and I've read a couple other books about horses this week, and so now it's time for me to present what I have learned, and I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can present what you have learned to your family members, maybe a friend, a parent, or a guardian on Friday. The first way that you can present what you have learned is you can use a chart that looks like this. The title would be the animal that you have chosen. So the animal that I chose was horses. And so that's the title of my chart. And then I have are, can, and have. So I'm going to list things that horses are, things that horses can do, and things that horses have. So, for example, in the book that we read earlier this week by Joanne Early Mackin, I learned that a baby horse is called a foal. So I can list that on my chart. I can say under R, a baby horse is called a foal. I also learned in my book that when a horse turns 1 year old, it's called a yearling. So under R, I could say A yearling is a horse that is 1 year old. I also learned in my book that a horse also eats hay and grain. So underneath my can, I can list a horse can eat hay and grain. I also learned that they can eat grass. So maybe I also list under can that they can eat grass. Now under have, I have learned that horses in this story, we learned that a horse's eyes are on the side of its head. So, underneath have, I might write that a horse has eyes on the side of its head. And I would list 1 to 2 facts under each of these columns. Another way that I may choose to present what I have learned is I could use a chart that looks like this. In the middle of my chart, I have the word horses, which is the topic that I chose to research this week. And I drew a circle around it. And then around that, I drew an even bigger circle. And inside this bigger circle, I'm going to write facts that I learned about my horse or about horses. So, just like on the previous page, I may list that horses have eyes on the side of their head. I may list that horses eat grain, hay, and grass. I may list that a baby horse is called a foal. I may list that a yearling is a horse that is 1 year old. And I'm going to list them all around my topic, which is horses. Now, those are just 2 ways that you may choose to present your information. You don't have to do those 2 ways, or you may choose to do those 2 ways. You may choose to do something else. You may choose to create a PowerPoint or to draw a diagram about your animal and list a couple facts that way. Whichever way that you choose to present, I would love for you to take a picture of it and send it to your teacher, because we would love to see all the fun things that you have learned about your interesting animal this week. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and thank you so much for taking time to listen.